Welcome back, everybody. Clash of the Castle just happened. Great show. Enjoyed the crowd. Electric energy. QJ and Tears, how we feeling today after Clash of the Castle?
Probably feeling better than certain people on the show. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially Priest. That was very scary. QJ, you watched it with me. What do you think of the pay-per-view overall? Any bright spots from you of the
Not
show?
too bad. That women's match, Bailey.
On
And
Piper Nevin, yeah, that was a very good match. Piper Nevin. I was shocked Belair and Jay Cargill lost. That was a surprise
mhm.
to me, but good show. Enjoyed it. So we're gonna get talking about Drew. He ended up losing in the main event. Hit the Claymore. The ref got knocked out. Punk came out in a referee shirt. Screwed him once again. Looks like we're getting Punk and Drew at SummerSlam. Looks like we're getting Priest and Gunther, assuming Priest ain't seriously hurt, because that was still scary when he got caught on the rope. So QJ, I'll start with you. Was this the right move to have Priest retain? What do you think about it?
Definitely was the right move. I mean, he just, you know what I mean? He had the champion for that long. So, I mean, Drew winning there, I mean, it really wouldn't made any, I guess it could have made sense, but I mean, it was at his hometown. But I don't think if they're doing the right with him and Punk, it don't need to be no title on the line. Let Priest have his moment,
I
keep
agree.
having his ring.
I definitely agree. I think honestly Gunther's gonna be the one to beat Priest. I think that's probably what they're gonna go in that direction. And I'm okay with that because Gunther's moved to that main event level, so hopefully he gets a good reign as well. Tears, what do you think about Drew losing this match to Priest?
First off, I can't wait for Raw to just say like Punk that wasn't really technically legal. That's what you did because just seeing that alone is just like, was he allowed to do that?
He technically, I don't know. He had a referee shirt on, so they needed another referee. And he didn't count the three. He just low blow Drew. So
But I think it was the right call. Like Drew, like, I'm pretty sure people want to see Drew versus Punk for the world title, but at the same time, I feel like Drew kind of needs to finish the Punk angle before he can actually have a world title run. So that makes sense. And plus, I'm a fan of Priest. I don't know why certain people like dogpile on him. That doesn't make any sense to me. But that's just me critiquing certain people. I feel like he needs to actually have some matches before losing the belt. And if he's losing to the Gunther, then yeah, he definitely needs to keep the belt and do some more matches. I hope he has enough matches in time before that. I'm not too sure.
he should have Money in the Bank and SummerSlam at the end of August, right? Most of the time. So yeah, probably at least another pay-per-view.
Okay, so that's good. Good. At least it'll give him time to actually have more title matches. Because I don't like they win the belt and lose in the next defense. I'm never
Yeah,
gonna
I
be a
don't
fan of
like that
that.
either. Yeah, it's just hopefully Priest gets at least another 2 months. Gunther can beat him. A lot of people were criticizing Priest as world champ. I think he's done a hell of a job, personally.
He's doing what the person to hold the belt after the first is doing. He's doing well. He's technically the first heel champion for that belt.
Yeah, and he's done a fine job. I mean, there's a lot of layers to Priest's character and what you can do with him, even if he's not champion anymore, especially with the Bloodline story going on. Or not Bloodline, excuse me, Judgment Day story going on right now. Well, Bloodline has a story too, but he's not involved in that. So let's talk about Ricochet. He's been all over the news, all over. I mean, every podcast is talking about him, every internet source or whatever. And it's been talked about he might be leaving WWE. Braun Breaker absolutely killed him on Raw. It was a pretty much a Rey Mysterio leaving WCW. Ricochet almost got seriously hurt. He landed like right on the concrete on his back, which is kind of concerning, but luckily he's all right. QJ, I'll start with you. Do you think this is a possible? Do you think there's a possibility that this is all a work and Ricochet will end up re-signing? And if he doesn't, where would you like to see him go, or would you like to just see him everywhere? What do you think?
I like to see Ricochet. Won't mind if he go back to New Japan, honestly. Uh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's starting to get a push in WWE, but I don't know. Too much that guy could be doing. He should be in the main event scene easily. Ain't doing really too much for him. That out compared to NXT. He was the talk of the talk. Now it's like, oh yeah, he good in the ring, but don't have good mic skills, so.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Ricochet does. Like, I get it in WWE, you do have to be able to cut a promo. I'm not arguing with fans who criticize that because Ricochet is, when he was against Logan Paul on the mic, I ain't gonna lie, he looked like a deer in headlights out there. I mean, Logan Paul really was just like heads and shoulders above him on the mic. But that, to me, if you're gonna push a guy and he can't talk, then give him a manager or something like that. We're kind of getting to something they could have done in the next topic. But I mean, Ricochet is one of the best workers in the ring. You could say he's a spot monkey or whatever. That's a lot of wrestlers nowadays, but he definitely is one of the best workers. For me personally, I would like to see him, like they said, New Japan or TNA. The reason I don't say AEW is because I feel like they have so many people already. He's just going to be kind of become another guy very soon there. Like, you might have the match against Ospreay, and then after that, it's like, okay, well, what do we do with this guy now? So we'll see what he does. Could be a work. His fiance is there. Maybe, Triple H is telling him, listen, we'll get you in this big angle with Braun Breaker. You'll get more out of it. You'll come back as a big baby face. You'll be saving your fiance or something. Maybe that's their plan. Who knows? But for me, I would like to see him leave and venture out and go do more. He's only 35, so it ain't like he's like 45 or something trying to get back on the indie scene. So there's still plenty of time for him. So, Tears, what do you think about Ricochet? Do you think this is a work? And where would you like to see him go if it is not a work?
I don't see it as a work at all, to be honest. Like, he just lost the Speed Championship to Andrade, which, at least that's, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Okay, I don't have fucking the social media accounts, so I wouldn't really be too sure. But I think, yeah, he's gonna leave. He's probably gonna go back to New Japan, because, yeah, I do believe, like, he can't do a promo argument is valid. And New Japan, you don't really need to do an argument. It's just about your in-ring work, which he does great in-ring work, in my opinion. But AEW, yeah, he would be lost in the shuffle because they do have a lot of people to, like, that kind of fits, like, what you need Ricochet to do. However, I feel like I at least want to see him do a match for AEW. Probably the Ospreay match will be it. TNA, I'm sorry, I don't see that working out well because they're not doing hot enough to where fans, even if they get Ricochet, would be keen on seeing.
I agree, yeah, they're probably not going to get much interest off that. I mean, New Japan or AEW seem like the two most likely spots if you had to go. Apparently, a lot of people, including Tony Khan, are very fond of Ricochet, and they really want him there. So, and Tony Khan, we all know, will open up the pocketbooks for almost anybody. So Ricochet, money-wise, is going to be just fine. Would love to see, him do a 20 to 25-minute match with anybody in that company. There has been a lot of people in wrestling media really like saying, well, who else in AEW would we want to see Ricochet face outside of Will Ospreay? Do y'all agree with that sentiment? Like, a lot of them think, like, yeah, we want to see that match, but what other match would really get you invested to see on the AEW roster?
Omega.
That would be fun. Him and Pence has happened before. I mean,
yeah, that would be. Yeah. I feel like that would be good for like people who were a fan of Lucha Underground, but considering it's them, like they would do like little nudges and hints and whatnot. So that would be one.
MJF, maybe would that be intriguing to y'all, or do y'all not really think? Because promo MJF's head over heels above him. Would that be why? Maybe.
I feel like MJF will so overly do Ricochet and promos to where like the match just wouldn't matter, which would suck. But I do feel like that. No, not well. Jericho and him would be fun, but I feel like that would be a debatable type of fun. No, not him and Christian Cage.
Jay White, I haven't really seen Jay White much. I mean, it'd be a fun match, but.
Yeah, I can't really think of too many people. I mean, like, I'd just be me and just say, like, oh, Ricochet versus Powerhouse, so where's Wardlow?
Oh, yeah,
or Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah, I mean, there's matches.
Powerhouse Hobbs could be fun.
Yeah, like, there's opponents you can name, but, like, it'd have to be a certain opponent. But they're not must-see. Yeah, like, So for me, I'd probably say New Japan would be probably the best spot for him right now if you had to pick.
But if
And
he
speaking
was
of,
to do
oh, go ahead,
matches
Chris.
in the if he was to do matches in the U.S., then definitely AEW would be the ones who were like book him for a match or so.
Yeah, like maybe him and Ospreay, him and Omega or something like that. Him and Brian
Yeah.
Danielson would be fun, and Brian still was wrestling by then, which he should be retiring soon. So who knows? But we'll have to see. But speaking of Ricochet, MVP recently did a interview, and he was saying that he wanted Ricochet in the Hurt Business. He felt like Ricochet would have been a good part of it, but he decided to go with Cedric because he felt like Cedric needed the group more. That Ricochet's in-ring work could get him over by itself. So QJ, I know you're a big Ricochet guy. Obviously, what do you think about him potentially almost being in the Hurt Business? Would you have liked that for him in WWE? Him, Lashley, MVP, Shelton, and all them.
Yeah, definitely would liked it more. Definitely would have been on TV way more. It's good, people being in groups and stables makes a lot relevant.
Yeah, and for someone like him too, to have like a mouthpiece like MVP, to me would have done a lot of justice for him personally because he needs somebody like that. But the problem is, well, I guess I would say who would take the most pins, but I guess you could say Shelton would take the most pins out of that group. But I would have liked him in the Hurt Business. Tears, what about you? I know you're a big Hurt Business fan. Would you have liked to seen Ricochet in the group?
I just First of all, I just like the Hurt Business because it reminds me of the TNA Beatdown Clan. It basically was the same flipping thing, just replace Cedric and Shelton for MVP and Low Key and Kenny King. But
Mm.
anyway, that's just a personal thing. Also, I think choosing Cedric was better option because, like MVP said, like Ricochet can get over on his own. I mean, he unfortunately proved that he didn't, but that's besides the point. And plus, you got to think of it this way: Ricochet would have to play the heel in the group because this was a heel group at the time, and Cedric he kind of did his job for that. Like him and Benjamin were the tag team. I think no, did they win tag titles?
Oh,
I know
jeez.
I know Lashley won the WWE Championship because the whole gimmick of the Hurt Business was to get Lashley over, and I really didn't also want to see Ricochet used as just a tool to get somebody else over.
Yeah, that would have been kind of whack.
Because that's also that's I know last time when we talked about like the Batista and John Cena episode, we talked about like factions could help everybody, but there's also the times where factions are just made to boost one guy over.
Yeah, it's like pretty much the main star of the group. There's a tag team, and there's like a manager, and then
Yeah, and the Hurt Business was one of those situations where like we knew who the top billing guy was going to be.
mm. So to go
So I
back to
feel
what you
like
said, my bad, real quick, but they did win the tag titles at TLC against the New Day for the Raw tag team titles. So they did win it at
oh,
least once. So
and they beat the New Day. That's actually surprising.
yes, it is.
I, wouldn't that be the New Day's last titles that they held in?
Potentially,
Eh,
definitely one of the
so,
last reigns
so,
they had for sure.
somebody will correct us. But yeah, don't think that would have helped Ricochet. And plus, like we saw, like the group did not last that quick at all. Like it was
No.
gone. Like not too long after the Brock and Lashley matches.
Yeah, after that, it was just like Vince pretty much just gave up on the group. They did not want to break up, but Vince was like, "Yeah, we're breaking y'all up, pal." So that
Yeah, and
was
Cedric and
definitely
Shelton were even like forced to remain as heels too. So like that would have meant like Ricochet would have been like forced to still remain as a heel for no reason.
yeah, that would have been odd.
And plus,
Like,
wasn't he U.S. champion at the time? I know
yeah,
Ricochet
he
was the U.S. champion or Intercontinental champion.
2019, I think he won the when he first got called up. After a little bit after that, he did win the U.S. title. Yeah, pretty sure it was around that time period for sure.
Right, so he might have already been doing stuff by the time the Hurt Business was made. Might. Not saying he did.
Yeah, it was so long ago. Who knows what? It was Vince's booking, so they might have been dancing in the middle of the ring at some point. Who knows? But it definitely would have been interesting. But MVP made the right call. It definitely helped Cedric for that short period. At least Cedric won a title, which good for him. So always been a Cedric fan. Still shocked he even still has a job there. Because honestly,
Or people like Grimes.
Yeah, it's just mind blowing sometimes. So it's been reported who Triple H likes in the WWE locker room, who are some of his favorites, and it's been reported that Ilya Dragunov, Braun Breaker, Gunther, and Solo are four guys he sees as kind of the future of the company at some level, whether that's main event or mid card. Pretty sure it's been reported that he saw Gunther and Solo as like the top heels of the next decade, which can't really argue. So, Tears, I'll start with you. Out of them four, who do you see having the best career when it's all said and done? Obviously, Braun Breaker's the youngest, so you got to count age and everything into it as well. But out of them four I just mentioned, who do you see having the best career?
I feel like I gotta try not to be biased because I am a huge Braun Breaker fan. You guys know this even like when he was like doing the face shtick. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, like he was my primary dude. I would like to say him, but I feel like at the current moment, it's showing like it's either going to be Solo with the bigger stories or Gunther with the title runs. But I feel, because this is WWE and what the fans, like in the crowd, think is more important than most things, I feel like it's probably going to be Dragunov. But that's going to require Gunther to be his polar opposite. So it's
That's an
one of
interesting
those
choice
two,
you're
but
saying.
leaning towards Dragunov.
That's an interesting choice. I'm surprised you picked Dragunov out of that group.
I was wanting to pick Braun, but I feel like people are just going to see him in the role of like he's just a big. He's probably going to be the one that gets the most. Let me try to elaborate this and word this. Like there's different types of success in wrestling. I feel like Braun's going to be the one that gets the most wins. Gunther's going to be the one that get the most titles. Dragunov is going to be the one that gets the most fanfare, and Solo's going to be the one that gets the most stories.
That's an excellent way to put it, not gonna lie. So recently I have heard that like WWE is very impressed with Braun Breaker right now. Like with this Ricochet and Dragunov feud, and he's just been a beast and his athleticism and just he's only 26, so he's right not even hitting his prime yet. And apparently going into the Netflix era of Raw, Netflix is very high on Braun Breaker and they want to make him like the face of the brand. So we'll have to see where that leads. QJ, what about you? Out of these four, who do you see having the best career when it's all said and done?
Hmm. I was gonna say Braun Breaker at first, but I could definitely go with Dragon. He's like a sleeper.
He definitely is. It's been reported for years Triple H loves Dragunov. Like even his NXT UK days, like he just
I
loved
feel like
everything
he'll have like
about
a
it.
Daniel Bryan run.
Could definitely see that.
He's like a crazier Johnny Gargano.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So y'all both say Dragunov, which is surprising to me. I actually expected both y'all to say Gunther or Braun. I'm actually surprised by that.
I feel Gunther.
Pleasantly surprised.
We know what he could do.
And
I
plus I
think feel like
mentioned,
Gunther had this. You know what I mean? He has the time.
and plus I mentioned for Dragunov to
Absolutely.
be as successful as we're thinking, like you do need Gunther to be his
Mm-hmm.
His main
tails to
foe.
his heads. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because every good story needs like two sides, like two people you cheer.
Yeah, and those two would definitely make an interesting story. So for me, obviously all four of these guys are gonna have great careers. And I'm gonna say Braun because I feel like he's the youngest. He's already proven himself to be great. Braun or Gunther is gonna be very close, but Braun does have a 10-year younger age gap than Gunther. I think Gunther's 36 or 37. He's 26. Gunther's already had a lot of success though with the Intercontinental title reign. Gonna go Braun. I think Braun is just a different beast. I think he's gonna be the guy they eventually have be like the guy of the company. I think he's gonna be in that Roman Reigns, John Cena role in about 4 or 5 years. Been hearing that for a while. They were grooming him in NXT for that. That's why they had Ziggler because Ziggler was talking about on Busted Open Radio about how like they want him to go down there to help Braun Breaker to make sure he's ready to take that leap to the main roster. So they've been building him up for this for a while. So for me, Braun Breaker, don't really expect him to be put in that main event level quickly. I think they should take their time with him, get the main roster audience familiar with him, and then slowly build him up in maybe a year or two to win a Rumble or win Money in the Bank or do something like that and then get him there. But definitely Braun Breaker for me.
Mine, Darby Allin has proven that won't matter like long term.
Yeah, Darby Allin is definitely somebody who probably has like 4 years. So I'm
I'd
gonna
say
throw another
that's
question at
minimum.
y'all real quick. So I know we're only 20 minutes in right now, so I'm gonna throw an extra question in. Who do y'all see winning Money in the Bank this year? I know we don't know who's in it, but I'll give y'all two names I've heard a lot mentioned with Money in the Bank, and y'all tell me who y'all think is a better option. So we got Finn Balor, Jey Uso. Tears, I'll start with you. You had to choose between those two. Who do you think makes the most sense and why to win Money in the Bank this year?
You see, here's the dilemma. I remember before Mania, we talked about like this potentially being the Usos' last WrestleMania. I don't know if that's true anymore. They might have came up with a deal to stick around that we don't know of. Or maybe that whole rumor was false from the start. Again, I don't know. So I'm just going to assume that they are sticking around. They ain't going to leave whatsoever. I'm going in with
Seems
that
like they're
assumption.
staying. One thing to throw in, Jimmy is injured right now. That's why we haven't seen Jimmy. But continue.
Which is fair. I would say, by the way, Jimmy injured again? Jesus. I would say if Jay were to win, it...
He is the number one
Champion...
merchandise seller right now. That's a huge thing in WWE.
Let's see. Cody's the Universal. Priest is the World. If Finn was to win it, then that would mean a little bit more dilemmas with Money in the Bank and Judgment Day. Which honestly, that would help a story saying like the Money in the Bank briefcase is always the main issue with the Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
That'd actually be a good story.
That's
to
why a
say
lot of
right
fans
there.
say him too, because like him and Priest and all that.
However, Jay, if Solo or even if Reigns comes back and they beat Cody for the belt, which I highly doubt, but it's just an option, that means the Universal title is back at the Bloodline. However, Jay could be there because his part of the Bloodline is still technically never done. So that could... Oh, God. I think as a fan, I would want Jay to win more. But for story prevalence, I'm going to say Finn.
That's a fair point. 'Cause they both have their pros of like, okay, this is why they should win.
I don't know, I'm probably just thinking way too hard on it.
It's a tough one when you look at both because Jay's the number one merchandise seller. He's over his hell right now. Finn hasn't really had much to go with as a solo in a while.
Now he has the keys to Liv Morgan's hotel room now.
So to add on to that, there's a theory fans have, and QJ, I'll get to you with the Money in the Bank prediction in a minute, but I have heard a rumor or just a theory that fans think that Finn and Liv are working together to break up Judgment Day to eventually have Finn win Money in the Bank, and he was the one working with Liv this entire time. That is a theory people have because Finn was the only one not hating on Liv or something, and there's a lot of theory with that. So everybody take that with what you will. It's just a rumor. Maybe that's a swerve they do. We'll see. But QJ, who do you see? If you had to choose right now between Finn and Jey Uso to win Money in the Bank, who would you go with and why?
I'll go with Finn because, to be honest with you, I haven't seen Finn relevant ever since when he fought Seth Rollins. After that, I don't know. I feel I haven't just went kind of downhill from there. And Jay, he had a lot of moments. I mean, later down the line, he can win one, but I don't think he need to win it. I'm gonna go with Finn. I need to see. I feel like Finn gets so close and then he lose. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Finn need it. Sorry, just needs it.
Yeah, Finn. Well, yeah, he's won some tag titles with Priest and all that, but like as a solo, he hasn't done in a minute. And him and Priest, like Tier said, would be very intriguing from a storyline perspective. Maybe you can add that to keep the story going for a while. Then you have Dominic's story, then you have their story. It's just a lot going on, which makes Judgment Day very intriguing to me. Because the Liv story is already intriguing, and let's not talk about that post she did on Dom on Raw. That was crazy. The post she did.
People said that I wish that was me.
Don't
It should
we
have
all?
been me, not him.
Yeah, the dog
It's not
me.
fair.
That Ziggler meme is still hilarious when people put that in the comments.
I was doing the Yu-Gi-Oh moment. I
Oh, that
completely
too,
always
yeah.
I forget about like the fact that Ziggler actually did that
Yeah,
in
should have
real life.
been me.
That's gonna live for his whole career
It
now.
is. It's funny.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Yeah, to keep him in people's minds. So for me, Jey Uso, wouldn't hate it completely if he won. I get it. He's the number one merch seller. The Yeet thing is over as hell right now. I get why they would go in that direction. And I'm not a Jey hater, but I feel like he's just boring in the ring now. It's just super kick city with him. I don't like
Wow,
the Young
Mr.
Bucks doing it.
No Yeet.
Yeah,
hmm
it's just I don't like the super kick spamming. I don't like when anybody does it. It's just I don't know, but I'll go Finn. I feel like Finn will be more intriguing for a story. It adds what they're doing right now. It adds more layers to the Judgment Day in general, which they already have enough layers as it is. Just think it'd be good. So we'll see. We'll see who else is in it, and hopefully they make the right decision. So our final topic, Undertaker. He's been saying a lot. He has a podcast now, which is still weird. He has a lot to say. He's talked about a lot of topics. He had a very new episode with Maven Huffman. Go check it out. It was a very good episode. We all know their moment at the Rumble where Maven got killed by Undertaker. Still one of the funniest Rumble moments. He
Which
was talking about
one?
Tony Khan and AEW, and here's what he had to say. Hopefully one day, I mean, a lot of people don't think the way I do, but one day AEW gets their crap together and genuinely creates some competition. That's probably not a popular take for most WWE insiders, but the way I look at it, I mean, competition's only going to make you better. I don't think there's a true leader in the locker room. I'm not sure. I have nothing against the man. I don't know that Tony Khan is the guy to run the company. His heart is in a good place and he wants to do something, but I just don't know if he has the ability to make good judgments and swift decision making to run a wrestling company against the juggernaut that is WWE. But hey, I could be wrong. I hope they get it together. It's better for the wrestlers, the fans. It's better for everything. So QJ, do you agree with what Undertaker said? What do you think about what he said about Tony Khan running AEW?
I can get what he's saying. I mean, Tony Khan, like I said, he gives us good match quality, but like I said, he's not really getting much ratings and stuff like that. So, and honestly, he may have to just get rid of some of the a lot of the people we like because they ain't really getting their spots too as they deserve. Just too overpopulated, too much people there. It's too much to work with, so there's a lot on your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he runs a football team. He runs 3 shows. He runs Ring of Honor. He's
Yeah,
just got a
can't
lot
be
going
running all
on.
that. Yeah.
It's
hmm
overwhelming. Here's what you think. Before I give mine, what do you think about what Undertaker said about Tony Khan?
I think there's a level of truth because ever since Tony became a on-screen character, which in my opinion that was the worst choice he could have done, it's kind of just been like the main negative that I've been hearing from people and seeing is, and people have been making fun of this, but at the same time, like people also make fun of things that they find negative. Like they joke instead of complain. It's still Tony. Like people don't like seeing Tony Khan on the screen. They just don't like hearing him. I feel like it's best for him to just be, how's the word I'm looking for? I'm not gonna say head booker because definitely not. I would say investor, like head investor or something like that. I don't know. Like have somebody that actually in who somebody who's actually in control of the booking.
Like pretty much like for example, Brian Danielson. Since he's been helping him with creative a lot. Like you mean like a wrestling mind like that who understands the business and not just like a fan.
Yeah, somebody who can give their 2 cents in. Just don't be also a character on screen because nobody likes your character.
Yeah, and a few years ago he said he was never going to be a character on TV, and that changed. So listen, Tony Khan is a nice guy. It sounds like, but you can't be too nice of a boss, especially in the wrestling business. As much of an a-hole as Vince was at times, he knew how to run a company. Whether you agree with what he said, or what he did, or how he ran his company, he was not gonna kiss no ass and all that. Tony Khan, I feel like has the wrong people in his ear, And yes, the Young Bucks and Omega were successful wrestling wise, but they even Omega said this himself, like he shouldn't be a VIP. He has no experience. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's never done any of that stuff. So to me, he has the wrong people in his ear trying to tell them how to run a wrestling company when they themselves don't have a clue on how to actually run a wrestling promotion. It's not easy to do. It's a lot of work. You got to know how to long-term book. All that stuff is important. And it seems like AEW just takes it week to week, just throws shit against the wall every week and like, okay, let's just make a bunch of matches and put them on the card. We'll have one story that we go with and everything else just happens. Definitely some truth to what Undertaker said. You know, Tony Khan just doesn't come across as me as somebody I can take serious as a wrestling promoter. I love the wrestling he puts on his shows. I think it's a lot better than WWE, even though WWE is more storytelling based.
I would compare it personally to where like it is a great show at the moment, but when you look at it long term, it's kind of just like nothing really leads anywhere.
No, it don't. And they're trying to build up Ospreay and Swerve. To me, it feels like kind of too early. Ospreay just won the other belt. Are you going to have a title for title? Is it going to be for the world title? Are you going to already have Swerve lose? It just feels kind of just like they're jumping the gun with Ospreay a little bit, but we'll see. But it feels like he needs. I would have said William Regal, but as, you know, he came back to WWE. He just needs somebody to, like Tier said, run the company and help him out that has the experience. And he had guys like Arn Anderson there. Arn Anderson recently left AEW, so maybe he didn't agree with the booking. Just needs different voices. And, you know, it's been reported the Young Bucks have their clique backstage, and if you're not a part of that clique, you're not pushed or you're not booked or whatever. It just seems like there's like a lot of like high school type energy backstage there, where it's like, if you're not part of our clique, screw off. We're not going to treat you right. Kind of like how they did with Punk. Even though Punk's a very controversial figure himself, it just seems like there's a lot of clique type shit going on backstage. But who knows? Hopefully AEW gets healthy. Hopefully TNA gets their financial situation in order, because it's been reported they ain't doing very well financially. Maybe that's why they're working with WWE. Who knows? Just got to get together, because it's not an easy job to run a wrestling promotion. It's very taxing. Not everybody can do it. It's a lot of. It's just you're booking a whole show every single week. You got to do a long-term outlook. So hopefully Tony Khan gets it together. But I feel like as long as he has the people in his ear currently going, it's probably not going to work. So we'll have to see how the long-term. They do have a pay-per-view at the end of this month. Hopefully it's a good show. Ospreay and Swerve should be a hell of a match. Their other matches on the Indies were good. Just have to see, because he's spending a lot of money on a lot of talent, and it just feels like they're just sitting there not doing shit when they're getting paid millions. So we'll have to see. So QJ Enters, any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
No, not really. Like, I do agree to all that, but at the same time, it's just like you also gotta be careful who you put in your ear, because like there's always gonna be those moments where like, because let's throw a name out there, like I don't know, Vince Russo. Do you really want him in your ear? Like, you gotta be
No.
careful who you trust to be your like head of creative, your influence, and all that. Like, it's one of those situations to where, yeah, he does need better people to help him run the show, but at the same time, better is a opinionated choice, because in his mind, he could probably see it as like he's putting the best show out there.
Yeah, it just depends who he gets to go in there. Like, obviously a Cornette or a Russo or a Brian Gewirtz or anybody like that wouldn't really be good. It just depends who he wants in there. And maybe Bryan Danielson's that guy already who's trying to get through to him, like, maybe you need to do this, or who knows. From what I've heard, the wrestlers really don't have an idea what they're doing. Kind of like WWE. Apparently, I heard a recently thing that, like, Tony Khan's like Vince in a word of, like, you don't know what the hell you're doing until, like, the very day you get there. Some guys don't know, or some men and women don't know what they're doing, what they're going to be in. Like, it's just always good to have organization. So just get somebody there who can make shit happen. That's all I can say. You're spending $1 billion on this company. You got to be growing an audience some way or another. So QJ, any final thoughts from you on anything?
Nah.
Okay. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in. Let us know your comments on what we talked about below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out other links in the description. Peace.